tell if the battery's full. Yeah. Go.
Looking for a dealership that treats you like family and works hard to create the right deal for you? Come see us at Guy Chevrolet Company in Artesia. Family owned and operated, we take great pride in customer service and attention to every detail. From hard-working, quality pre-owned trucks and SUVs to the best selection of new GMC and Chevy models built exactly the way you want, we'll match you with the right truck and the right deal. Now is the time to buy. So hurry in to Guy Chevrolet Company on the corner of 1st and Main in Artesia or visit us at GuyChevy.com.
The sizzling summer savings event is on now at Roswell Nissan. Now through the end of the month, get massive savings across the lot on an amazing selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. on now at Roswell Nissan. Now through the end of the month, get massive savings across the lot on an amazing selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. And that's not all. Get 0% for up to 60 months on select 2026 Nissan Rogue, Frontier, Murano, and Pathfinder. Make this summer road trip season a little hotter with the help of the hottest lot in southeastern New Mexico. But these sizzling savings won't last. Get to the Sizzlin' Summer Savings event on now at Roswell Nissan. 2111 West 2nd.
First and foremost, I'd like to say thank you for the invitation to join you guys at the Eddy County Fair. And as we've opened the door and started on our doe class, a really phenomenal set of females here. I realize that you can stack these guys in here a lot of different ways in terms of type and kind. I think there's a tremendous amount of quality. That being said, as we string them out through the line here, a really, really competitive set of females. I think I gravitate to the one who I think's her lower body, her chest plate, the way her rib turns, and then the smoothness of her skeleton as she starts out of her tine bone into her 12th and 13th rib. Maybe just hold her skeleton just a little better today. Holds herself exceptionally well out of the top and heel of her loin edge. And I think the advantage over some of her classmates starts right there in her upper pin placement and her upper hip. That one's got a really good look from the side. Super beautiful. Her neck's placed right there at the top of her shoulder. I love the turn of her rib. I just thought that one was aesthetically maybe the cleanest in her design, and then yet still came with a lot of muscle and some shape and some body. I think there's some give and takes as I start stepping away from that female. The young lady that's going to stand second in class, I think that was just unbelievably wide at the ground. I love that kind of dimension of the way she's pulled apart. I think she supersedes everybody in class in that aspect. But when we back up here, I find her to just be a little more up and down in her top line today. Maybe not quite as smooth in her transitions coming out of her blade and into her 12th and 13th. And then right here at the top of her hook up at her loin edge. Maybe a doe that we just like to smooth up ever so slightly, just a little bit there in her top shape. But that one's really, really fun. You've got to love her at the ground. That's a really nice female. It's going to go on and raise a super set of kids. Young lady's got a really good one there. To stand third, the young man brings one similar to that second place in terms of capacity and the amount of volume. Maybe doesn't stand quite as good at the ground. Maybe gets just a little longer in the shank. From the twist of her stifle, maybe wants to drop that block to get just a little bit straighter in her set there today in relation to those two in front of her, but still one that comes with a super huge rack, opens up really nicely in her loin edge, still has enough width and pin placement, really, really nice female. Just like to change her around here just a little bit today. For me, that back passer wants to get just a nickel softer as she gets into that hot, and I'd like to give her just a little more set there and make it just a nickel sounder. Young lady that's fourth here, this is a really, really nice female. Really good touching. Love that shoulder and that front leg design. She wants to stay coupled up just a little bit today for us, and that makes her want to get just a little steeper as we evaluate her from her pin bone, from her loin edge, and where it hooks up at her hook, down to her pin. She wants to get just a little bit steeper today and get a little bit, just a little more up and down right there. I'd like to see her just a nickel leveler out through the top of her tail end, right out through that pin. Maybe give her just a little more dimension down low to stand those above her. But this is going to be a super nice female that has the ability to really go on and generate and make a nice set of kids as she propagates. Young lady to stand next, really good looking female in class. Maybe just needs a little more time today, a little more feet bucket. As she tracks away from us, I think that's our biggest critique. She wants to get just a little narrow as she walks and leaves the arena today on those back wheels. We want to pull her open and give her just a nickel more base width at the ground. But you've got to like the way she touches at the top of her shoulder, out over her loin edge. Super nice at her junctions. Young lady's got a good one there to move forward. To round them out, a good tall shoulder to stand up in this class. Beautiful up front, very nice at her shoulder. Just doesn't have quite the mass and shape today. And I think as we progress in our feeding program and maturity, we can add some of those things to her. I would like to see her just a little more shapely today to move on up in class with a really well laid out female. Let's give her all a nice round of applause.
First place, Vic 2. your grand dough went to James Joy of Artesia FFA, tag 94809. Your reserve dough went to James Joy, tag 94810. Third went to Amy Cox, West Public 4H. Fourth went to Quincy Fulmer, Cottonwood 4H, tag 21457. Fifth went to Madison Mantra, Artesia FFA, and sixth went to Baby Trujillo, Artesia FFA. Please bring your Class 1 market goats to the show ring. Your Class 1 market goats to the show ring.
For a hands-on career with strong job demand and long-term growth, the HVAC R Technology program at ENMU Roswell is the perfect place to start. Learn installation, maintenance, repair, and system diagnostics, all from a team nationally accredited through HVAC Excellence. From electrical controls to blueprint interpretations, this program equips you with real-world skills employers are looking for. Call 575-624-7337 or log on to roswell.enmu.edu to learn more. ENMU Roswell. Success starts here.
goats to the holding area. Class 2, meat goats to the holding area.
Pretty impressive set of lightweight goats here. I think the two that come to the front of the class are by far just the smoothest of the skeletal design. We watch them walk around the arena. They've got some flow in their skeleton. They've got some base width to the ground. I think both of them's better days are coming in terms of volume and mass and muscle. I think the young lady, though, that just wins the class, that was just so aesthetically pleasing in terms of the way his shoulders constructed, the way he holds his head up, travels around the arena. I think maybe today when we catch him right here in his 12th and 13th, he maybe comes with just a little more shape and expression of muscle there in the top of his carcass as he travels away from us, maybe shows just a little more shape out in the center portion of his leg. But that's to take nothing away. I think this second place coach really has a lot of future in terms of where he could go in terms of his maturity. I love that smoothness. Didn't read him quite as voluminous in terms of that shape of athleticism today. But I think those are things that become really, really well balanced in terms of skeletal design. I feel young lady's got a really, really tough go there to stand in the top two. As we scatter out and study 3 and 4, I think both goats maybe not quite as neat in terms of their base width and their design as the two in front of them. I think the young lady that stands second here, I like that shape of muscle, very much like the class winner. Has some shape, has some expression, just a little rounder in her bone work today. We come out of the top of her shoulder, and that shoulder wants to go just a nickel rounder as she drops into her tiny bone here, about her 5th and 6th rib, maybe just a little rounder out at the point of that shoulder in relevance to those two in front of her. But still, really, really high quality trophy out to stand in a super tough class. Excellent 4th place sheet. Now sheet go. Let's go white young lady that was good to be so this is an ideal vote. When you back up, this one looks like showbill. Up at it, really nice in his top line. I think this one's just got to have time. He's just not opened up enough today. He's not mature enough in the bottom of the skeleton. He's got to get wider and he's got to get thicker as he comes. And if those things become true, and he has a future beyond the Eddie County Fair, when that thing matures out, that was going to be pretty good. That's real good. And today, he just doesn't have enough opened up to move up forward. He cannot put him in the conversation. He is really laid out well. His feet and legs drop off the right corners of his body. Super good at his top line. Young lady stands in a really tough class with an excellent go. As we round out the class, a few goats that have just a little more pieces and parts, a nice volume. Let's go here, young man, bring this. Maybe not quite as long, quite as smooth in a skeletal design as some of the others in the class. Maybe just a little flatter in the turn of that rib today. We want to maybe tuck that chest plate up. Interesting goat here in terms of volume of muscle. The young lady brings us in the red shirt. The goat that maybe just doesn't tie quite as neatly right here at that shoulder and neck. Maybe just gets a little tighter today, not quite as free. I think we see that really well when we kind of move with her in motion. She just kind of wants to bring her head up like a turtle instead of holding it up like a deer. You know, it just doesn't have quite that natural tie right there. We'd like to loosen that up ever so slightly. So rounding out, young lady brings us a nice long side go from the rear view, maybe not quite as shapely, maybe not quite as stout as the ground in terms of muscle and overall volume of bone. Very well presented, very well fed. Let's give these youngsters a very nice round of applause.
First place went to Daily Joy, Artesia FFA. Second went to Cameron Coughlin, Cottonwood 4-H. Third went to Isabel Gill, Artesia 4-H. Fourth went to Jessica Joy, Cottonwood 4-H. Fifth went to Jonathan Lopez via Sharpshooters.
The Office Management and Technologies program at ENMU Roswell prepares you with the skills you need to succeed in today's workplace. From creating professional documents to mastering communication and administrative skills, you'll be equipped to keep any office running smoothly. You'll build clear professional communication skills, learn effective administration techniques, and gain hands-on experience with today's technology. Whether you're starting your career or leveling up your skills, this program is your path to success. Call ENMU Roswell today at 575-624-7337 or log on to roswell.enmu.edu.
Joseph or Leo will be a large, adult large, and Jonathan will be an adult small.
Super impressive set. We'll start here in the reverse side. Young ladies right here just outside the top four. Two voluminous kind of goats, opened up enough. Just get a little plainer in their skeleton, a little deeper in their body, a little quicker and shorter from elbow to flank. I'd like to maybe pull apart ever so slightly. Young lady that rounds off the class. A goat that I like his length of body and his levelness of spine. Just today entirely flattering his skeleton. It gives up some diameter and shape of that rib as we study these in the remainder of the class. A really competitive set here. I think the paint goat here, the young lady, maybe the hardest to evaluate. The way he's got that break line and that color right there behind his shoulder, you kind of maybe it breaks him up just a little bit. When you dig in there and you put your hands on him, he's by far and away the most massive and the most cracked open in terms of his overall rib in diameter from left to right. Gets off of his spine exceptionally well. Really big back and super muscular right to the turn of his leg. You back up here on the side view. You hold his head up exceptionally well. Lays over against his blade. His neck ties in good there where all those come together. His chine bone, his blade, and his neck. Really well constructed. Maybe just the most user-friendly goat of the crowd. big muscle and still easy enough to look at. We start scattering out through the class, and I think by far in a way the next one in terms of bone diameter, the amount of touch and shape coming down her spine. Young ladies go here in second. He is by far the most athletic in terms of his muscle presentation. He's lean over his carcass. Maybe doesn't have quite the freshness of his loin edge. And maybe like to see just a little deeper and fuller today in his middle and relevance to that class winner, almost kind of giving just a touch more body. And I think that one would look just a little bit better, but still, angle, presentation is really, really good on that particular go. Young man brings us one that's laid out very similar in terms of that third place goat. We back up out of him. I find him to just be a little flatter in his skeleton. When we walk up into him, he's not quite as shapely as that second place goat coming out of his shoulder. He's not quite as nice right here at the heel as his one edge. And he just hasn't matured yet in terms of his width and his dimension. I love the way he plants the ground. I love that foot size. I think that's a goat that just gets better in 60 days. And many things can change in terms of the lineup because he just needs to kind of come on and open up. But still, really, really competitive. To round him out the four, a big muscle kind of goat just gets a little rougher in his design. And he doesn't tie his neck and his shoulder up quite as neatly as it moves down in his neck and into the top of his shoulder. Just gets a little rounder at the point, a little rounder at the top. Maybe just a little shorter and rounder in his coupling. We'll both in relevance to those three in front of him. You can't leave him out of the conversation. He's got too much muscle. He's really, really nice. Very, very competitive set. Let's give these youngsters a nice round of applause.
Second went to Hartley Gutierrez, Artesia FFA. Third went to Alien Cox, Nebraska number 4-8. Fourth went to Lawson Starnes, Cottonwood 4-H, tag 94893. Fifth place went to Lawson Starnes, Cottonwood 4-H.
Before you head back to class, head for Roswell Honda for the Back to School Bash. Saturday, July 18th from 10 to 1 at Roswell Honda. With free hot dogs and Pepsi products, snow cones, face painting, and great local booths and sponsors, including Dunes Brews, Tacos Pita, Sweetly Loved, Letty's Creations, and more. And register now for your chance to win a back to school bundle, either a laptop, desk, and chair, or a back to school basket loaded with supplies. And ask how to sign up for free school supplies. The Back to School Bash, Saturday, July 18th from 10 to 1 at Roswell Honda, 2177 West.
Class 1 and 2 meet goats first and second places to the holding area. Class 1 and 2 meet goats first and second place to the holding area.
Nice class of weathers here. As we kind of dig into them and get started, there's going to be a little bit of head shaking over here at the fence because there's a really good set of goats here, and you can kind of argue this how you would like to. I will not debate it at all. I think there's some give and takes in each one of them. I think there's some advantages and some disadvantages in each and every one of them. For me personally, I think the advantage of the class winner is she's by far and away the widest body, the most opened up in terms of width and dimension. When you get over the top of her, left to right, she's got them all whipped right there. She's big at her 12th and 13th rib, huge back. You see my hand roll over the top of her carcass. That line right there is not telling any fibs. That one's got a big old ribeye, huge loin edge. For me personally, she might be not quite as zippy and tall fronted as the second place goes, and I maybe would clean her up just a little bit at the ground. She wants to get just a little soft on that back hock. As she drives that pastern into the ground, I'd like to straighten her up there just a little bit and make her stand on that back wheel just a nickel better. But that thing is open body, touches great, and I mean electric to the touch. Hard muscle, very, very, very nice to the center of her body. And it's hard to make it look good still when I've got kind of width and dimension. And that's to take nothing away. Our second place young ladies go here, I mean that one is the show goat. That is the way I want it to look. I want it to run up here just like that. Tall shoulders, really elegant up front. Hands at the ground, good up front. I think when I get in though, right over the top of his carcass, maybe one that comes to us just a little flatter, right out of his shoulder blade. Doesn't come with quite the shape and volume right down his top as the class winner. Here is opened up right here at the top of his pin bone in his upper hip. And I think that's because he's just maybe a little narrower in his skeletal gauge. As you watch him track off and walk out of the arena, he's going to be just a little narrower as he walks away from us. But man, that thing is so good looking from the side. You want them all to look like that. So in my argument there is, if I could have squeezed those two together, and we would tear the barn down. So I think there's some real high quality in both individuals, two super individuals right here at the top of this particular class. To take nothing away from 3 and 4, I think our third place goat gets just a little rounder in his design, a little rounder in his shoulder today, maybe drives off that back hop, and he's a little more prone to it on his left one. He wants to get broke over just a little bit, get a little posty back there. I like to give him just a little bit of set, and then maybe take away just a little bit of that roundness to his shoulder. But it opens up in terms of body and dimension, much like the class winner, but it's just not quite as hard as a clutch to move him on up in class today, but still super high quality kind of goat. Gotta love the things that he brings in terms of dimension and mass. Young lady's done a nice job. To round him off, our fourth place goat, very, very athletic, much like the goat she brought to us in the last class. We want to drop his guts down, give him just a little more capacity today. I'd like to maybe freshen him up in terms of body condition and fat, especially as we move out over his loin edge. He wants to get just a little healthy today and tie him just a little low. Right here is hip loin junction. We want to open that up and give him some more freshness right out of that loin edge. And that thing is zoomed in the front. Really, really nice. Let's give those youngsters a very nice round of applause. excellent set of goats here. Maybe just give up some width and dimension. Young man show here doesn't have quite the touch right down his top. Maybe gets a little straighter on his back hop. Young lady in fifth, sixth, a little flatter, maybe not quite as shapely, not stout at the ground. Two goats here at the end, and we just want to open their body up left to right and make them wider so we can stack more to shape. Let's give these youngsters a nice round of applause. Y'all look up.
First place went to Presley Gaines, Cottonwood 4-H. Second place went to Madison Moncho, Artesia FFA. Third went to Cabrera Headley, Artesia FFA. Fourth went to Hartley Gutierrez, Artesia FFA. Fifth went to Kelly Derba, Loving FFA. Sixth went to Lawson Starnes, Cottonwood 4-H. Seventh went to Lillian Ecase, Cottonwood 4-H. Eighth went to Trayton Wells, Kia Sharpshooters.
Oswald Livestock and Farm Supply is your one-stop shop for farm and ranch supplies in southeastern New Mexico, with a friendly, knowledgeable team that can help you find the brands you know, including Preferred, Pearson, Purina, iPro Feeds, Ariat, Wrangler, Cinch, Justin Boots, and more. Roswell Livestock and Farm Supply is a proud supporter of area sports, 4-H, FFA, and the farmers and ranchers of tomorrow. Oswald Livestock and Farm Supply, 1105 East 2nd, celebrating over 50 years.
Please bring all your Class 4 meat goats to the holding area. All your Class 4 meat goats to the holding area.
Our first division here, a really nice round of applause for a job well done. Phenomenal set of goats here. I think when we stack them out here, even on the side view, we kind of pull them back out of their respective classes. I won't talk each and every one of them. I'll use just some generalities. I think there's some goats here that maybe are a little different, in terms of their type and their kind. They're maybe not quite as gelled up as we'd like. And I think what happens is when you start studying them at this weight range, in terms of maturity, in terms of where they may land in 60 days. And I know today is the stock show. That's where we're at today. And so we've got to kind of evaluate them as we stand and not let all that future stuff kind of cloud our judgment. But I think there's a set of goats here that get better with time, is what I'm trying to tell you. I think those that are maybe a little bit on the flatter side, maybe not quite as opened up today, maybe not quite as mature in the rib, I think those goats get better. And I think they get stouter and wider and come to themselves. Because it's hard to believe at 18 I wasn't quite this wide. And so if you'll stay with me, you know, maturity will do a lot of good things. It makes you eat better, enjoy those shade trees a lot more, and you'll just get thicker and stouter. For me, I think there's a couple here that are just a little more on point for the day. They're a little closer to exactly where they need to be. I love the dimension. I'd like to maybe pencil with them just a little bit here and there, but still super sound, very, very muscular. Looking up kind of coach. Young lady right there in the middle is going to go camp today. The heavyweight is going to result.
Your Division I champion went to Bailey Dennison from Class 2. And your Division I Reserve champion went to Presley Gain from Class 3.
Roswell Livestock and Farm Supply and Purina want to celebrate the true horse lovers by rewarding you and the animals that you love.
Christy made me fall in love with her, thanks to her lovable personality and her princess-like ego.
Now through July 31st, share your story and you'll be entered to win the grand prize of $300 worth of feed for your horse or one of 5 prize packages, including a Purina hat, notebook, and supplement scoop, plus products from Replenimash and more. Simply like Roswell Livestock and Farm Supply on Facebook, then share a photo and story in the comments about when you knew you were a horse person. It could be the story of your first horse, your favorite.
Please bring all your Class 5 meat goats to the holding area. Class 5 meat goats to the holding area.
just kind of gravitate to the top. I think the young ladies know that wins the class is maybe just a more combinational goat today. He's just a little neater in turn of his rib, and he just gets a little wider, more dimensional as we get out over the top of him, spreads you out, and his hook-one junction exceptionally well, touch is super, super fresh. A really good Hammond goat that's really pretty and easy to look at. The way his shoulders designed, the way his neckties, and that's to take nothing away. Young lady does a fantastic job of getting this one presented, gets him up, gets him planted in the ground, looks really good to the side. As we study in relation to that class winner, he maybe wants to get just a little deeper in the bottom of his chest floor, and then when we move in on top of him, the reason that happens is it gets just a little concave and a little flatter right in the turn of his rib today. He doesn't hold his pin with it, and his heel of his groin quite as good as that class winner. But that is a good looking goat. Up, out, has a lot of style to him. We just want to pull him apart just a little bit. Young lady's done a very, very nice job of getting Alex up and jump. Super, super nice. Young lady in third, a big breathy kind of goat, longer a little bit in his lane today. She's not quite as nice. Right here, she ties up at the top of her loin edge, and where her hip runs together. She wants to get just a little compromise there in that junction. And that may be because she's just a little rounder at the top of that shoulder to go with that hip junction, being a little rounder on the back end. We maybe want to smooth those up ever so slightly. That one touches right, handles good, opened up. A lot of good things going on. Young lady in 24, a nice balanced goat, smooth in her design today. When we back up off of them 10 or 20 feet, a little long from the top of the shoulder down to the front of that chest plate and shoulder. That bone's longer than her hook to center spinal. I like to maybe choke her up just a little bit in her shoulder blade. They're designed to give that goat just a little more shape out back. I think one when you get in on top still touches much like the class. The three in front, just maybe not quite as aggressive in terms of that shape, but still super smooth. We just want to maybe change some of those lines. Push that chest plate up, widen out the back and drop that back leg in there. And I think that one moves up super quick. Young lady's doing a very nice job. As we roll out into the class, some goats just get a little plainer in their design. The young lady brings us a long body goat who just doesn't want to hook up quite as smooth in his junctions today. A little flatter sided female. When we walk right up behind this one, she just doesn't have quite the dimension, maybe not quite as fresh in her loin edge. As we round off the class, two goats, Katie's get a little shorter from elbow to point, and a little deeper overall in their overall body depth. When we walk right up behind them, we want to just see those goats open up and get more dimension so that we can stack more bricks on top of the table. Let's give these youngsters a really nice round of applause. Very, very nice job.
Your class 4, first place went to Clancy Conklin, Cottonwood 4-H. Second place, Bailey Trujillo, Artesia FFA, tag 94822. Third place, Kaylee Shockey, Artesia FFA, Eddie County 4-H. Fourth place, Kimber Bailey, Country Clovers 4-H. Fifth place, Lillian Decase, Cottonwood 4-H. Sixth place, Bailey Trujillo, Artesia FFA. Seventh place, Billy Fuller, Brush Poppers 4-H. And eighth place, Tesla Hetty, Artesia FFA. 6, meat goats to the holding pin. Class 6, meat goats to the holding pin.
set of winner goats. As we've kind of marched them up here in terms of maturity and body weight, a really fantastic set. Some goats down here at the end, maybe don't have quite as much width and dimension. Young lady right in the middle, that one's got plenty of width and dimension, just a little bit rounder on both ends in terms of shoulder and hip design. Maybe the young lady here in the blue, a goat that we get about here on the profile, maybe doesn't have quite that width to the top of her pin placement, hip, maybe doesn't come with quite as much shape and expression right to the center of her stifle, but still a really nice goat to round off this class. I think when it comes to these top two right here, you can digest them however you want to, but I think both of those are real good goats. I think they're both special in their own right. I read the class winner just a little truer in terms of his width and dimension, right through the center portion of his body. I think there's some added advantage in terms of shape of muscle, some depth down the center of his back. Maybe one that opens up in his center rib just a nickel more, but that's to take nothing away. I think the young lady's goat second has just got that great look. He just holds his head up, maybe even sets his elbow in just a little bit better in his front end, and holds himself just a little neater. He's not quite as wide like we talked, he's not quite as athletic in the shape of his muscle, but that goat's got so much look, he's got enough power, a really beautiful goat. I love both of those goats coming in this class. They kind of close in terms of type, they're close in terms of build and design, and they stay together very nice. Two really, really special goats on that end of the class. As we start moving our way 3, 4, I thought the goat in 3 was a little longer from blade. Top of his shoulder down to the long point of his front shoulder, maybe not quite as much lower flank in that goat, just a little bit raw to the touch today. When we get in on him, maybe doesn't come with quite the freshness that the two have right in front of him, and then maybe from hook to pin, maybe just a little steeper and narrower right there over the top of his tail head. But still, tall shoulder, young lady does a fantastic job of getting our show. Really, really nice. Young lady that rounds off the 4, props this one upright, stands square to ground. I love the roundness down his top line. He just gets a little flatter in his overall dimension. He's a little flatter from the top of his hook to his outer stifle today. When we get in on top of it, he doesn't come with quite the pizzazz and shape of rack as he carries it into his long edge today. But still, really good luck. Young lady's done a fantastic job of getting that one squared up, fired up, and shown. Let's give him a really nice round of applause. Job well done.
Roswell Livestock and Farm Supply and Purina want to celebrate the true horse lovers by rewarding you and the animals that you love.
Christy made me fall in love with her, thanks to her lovable personality and her princess-like ego.
Now through July 31st, share your story and you'll be entered to win the grand prize of $300 worth of feed for your horse or one of 5 prize packages, including a Purina hat, notebook, and supplement scoop, plus products from Replenimash and more. Simply like Roswell Livestock and Farm Supply on Facebook, then
07. Second place went to Jaylee Joy, Artesia FFA. Third place went to Nancy Conklin, Cottonwood 4-H. Fourth place went to Justin Joy, Cottonwood 4-H. Fifth place, Cameron Conklin, Cottonwood 4-H. Sixth place, Camila Hernandez, Loving FFA. Seventh place, Augusta Conklin, Cottonwood 4-H. Please bring your class 4 and 5, first and second place, to the holding area. Class 4 and 5, first and second place, to the holding area.
nice set here as we start out. Young ladies go here in the white belt with the dog on his shoulder. Just really touches exceptionally nice. You get out over the top of him. He's probably as good in terms of the turn of his rib and the way he opens up in his center cage. Holds himself exceptionally nice as he rolls out. The top of his hip and that center leg. Probably one that just touches better than most in the class. Really athletic, big muscle. And when we back up out of him, one that's still got some length aside. You know, it's got some elevation to his neck and the way it sits on top of his skeleton. Maybe not quite as massive bones as some that we've seen for the day, but in terms of just sheer build, really well constructed. I think the young ladies, the maroon colored goat here that follows him is really nice. I say it is a goat, isn't it, young lady? We don't want any identity crisis. A really nice female here that stands second class. Touches well, great turn, maybe not quite as shapely as that class winner, maybe not quite as stout at the ground, but this one still handles really nice. You get in on top of her. I think her advantages over that third place goat is she just comes with more shape of muscle down her top, more shape to the center portion of her leg, and holds her thin bone out just a little higher. I don't think she's quite as wide and stout as the class winner, but still really handles good, really eye-appealing. A little bit hard to see in relation to the ground in this lighting. So if you just take your time, I think the build on that was really nice. The young lady's done a fantastic job. To roll them out, I think the young man in 3, he does a fantastic job of getting this one set at the ground. I read that goat is getting a little over in his hock. He wants to pop his hock over just a little and get straighter in his design as he moves it from his stifle to the ground. And what happens is it pinches him from hook to pin. He gets just a little more drop and roll, and it flattens him quite a bit to the center of his stifle here. A goat that's got enough body and enough openness to his center rib to stay with the two in front of him, but as we transition in his skeleton, from his hip back, I just like to lift him, open up his thin bones and give him just a little more terminal shape right to that center leg, and then I think that man really has the chance to go forward and be super competitive. Young lady that's going to round him out, when you look at him just at the ground level, maybe doesn't come quite as wide in terms of dimension through his lower skeleton. I love the shape and the amount of body that he has, but when we dig into him, this doesn't come with quite that shape of rack, that shape, he's not devoid of muscle. He just gets a little spongier in his touch. We should say he's not quite as expressive as the 3 in front of him. Maybe his blade bone sits in here just a little bit more opened up at the top of his skeleton, but still, he's got to stay in the mix. He's got a lot of good pieces. He hits the ground well. You want to crank those front legs open ever so slightly, make him touch just a nibble, and that thing marks right on up. Let's give these youngsters a really nice round of applause. As we round out our class, young lady brings us a good eye-appealing goat. When we walk right in behind him, he's just too flat to stay with the forward front of him in terms of rib shape and dimensions. She's done a fantastic job of getting that one showed. As we roll on out, some same issues in terms of width and dimension. We want to open those goats up where we can just set more rack shape or center leg in a really nice set. Let's give these youngsters a nice round of applause.
Please bring all your Class 7 meat goats to the holding area. Class 7 meat goats to the holding area. Class 6 first Cottonwood 4-H. Second place, Kimber Bailey, Country Clovers 4-H. Third place, Ann Cox, Brush Poppers 4-H. Fourth place, Catherine Keith, Brush Poppers 4-H. Fifth place, Bailey Trujillo, Artesia FFA. Sixth place, Addison Tarman, Loving FFA. Seventh place, Lillian Meatcase, Cottonwood 4-H. And eighth place, Kimber Bailey, Cottonwood Country Clovers 4-H, tag 94835. Let's give these exhibitors in Division 2 a really nice round of applause. A really nice set of goals. I think, like we talked just a little bit in that early division, a little more differences in terms of maturity, in terms of muscle shape and the amount of balls that they come with. I think as we start staring them up, stacking them up with more of that maturity, they start to look a little more uniform and their rib design, the stoutness of the ground, the way they hold their center body, and have some width and some dimension. And then yet still you can gravitate to some goats that have some elevation and their neck sets at the top of the shoulder. For me, I'm not going to make it pretty dramatic. I think there's two here came right out of that class and talked pretty heavily. We're not going to make it a lot of pony show. This one right here is going to win. And the young lady standing right behind us is going to be the reserve. Two really exceptional sets, a great set that surrounds us. Let's put our hands together for a really, really nice Division 2 set of guys. Wonderful set. Thank you guys.
Looking for a dealership that treats you like family and works hard to create the right deal for you? Come see us at Guy Chevrolet Company in Artesia. Family owned and operated, we take great pride in customer service and attention to every detail. From hard-working, quality pre-owned trucks and SUVs to the best selection in new GMC and Chevy models built exactly the way you want, we'll match you with the right truck and the right deal. Now is the time to buy. So hurry in to Guy Chevrolet Company on the corner of 1st and Main in Artesia or visit us at guychevy.com.
07 and Division 2 reserve champion, also winning this going at 94805. Ladies, bring your Class 7 marking goats to the showroom. Class 7 marking goats to the showroom.
balance, maturity, and then maybe some goats that are getting a little bit over the hill and showing a little hoarseness and shoulder, maybe not quite as fresh at the heel of their loin edge. I think the young lady brings us one that's still super eye appealing from the side. She's got his neck right out of the top of his shoulder, and I think one that hits the ground really nicely on the plant, handles good right out of his rack shape. Maybe not quite as big and opened up at the heel of his loin as we maybe draw it with a pencil, but still fresh. Big forearm in that goat. You step out here at the three-quarter view, and he's probably the most muscular in terms of natural build on his body. Just by looking at that big old forearm money, that one comes with a lot of shape and a lot of athleticism. I think the goat that best follows him in terms of length to side, elbow to flank, and the one that touches good when we move in on top of him is the young ladies here in second. Maybe doesn't hold his loin edge up quite as well, and then as he wants to kind of drop and roll to his pin place to you a little, today I'd like to open that up ever so slightly, and then I think that one has the mobility to move forward. Young man's done a really good job with his goat. He's trying to kind of get a little mature up front. His shoulder blades trying to outrun the rest of his skeleton, but still, he handles nice. He's super fresh. But when we get right in on top of this goat, the biggest, widest portion of his skeleton is the outside of his lower blade. I'd like to maybe flip that transition and then maybe just make him a little bigger right up here at the top of his head and upper hip to match that and kind of shove that back ever so slightly. But the young man's got it shown well, presented exceptionally nice, fed good. Young man's done a really good job in a tough class. We'll give him a nice round there. To round him out, the young man brings us alongside his kind of goat, and he doesn't want to hold his spine quite right. He wants to get just a little bit lower in his neck set and put himself down, and I think that's because he wants to get just a little too high right here in the tie of his spine right here at his 12th and 13th rib, and we just can't get him to relax that just a little bit, or we can get his hand, his chin to come up. I'd like to just soften him there just a little bit as he trails away from us, maybe open him up ever so slightly at the ground. He touches exceptionally nice, he's fed very well, super fresh at all the junctions in his transitions from the shoulder, center rib, out of his loin. Young man's done a really good job of getting that one fed. Very, very nice top set of 4. As we roll on through some goats that maybe just give up some either freshness or maybe some body width or just get just a nickel planer, the young lady brings us a nice goat that's fit, super well manicured in terms of fed, fit. Just gets a little boxier in his skeleton today. Maybe not quite as long from elbow to flank. We want to pull him open ever so slightly. Our 6th place goat here just gets a little rougher in his design, a little bit rounder in his shoulder, rounder on both ends. As we move through some goats that just don't have quite as much freshness in the dimension to move on up in class. Let's give these youngsters a very nice round of applause for the job well done.
Tough, reliable equipment that gets the job done right. Turn to your local Kubota experts. Amigo Machinery in Roswell, proud to be your hometown Kubota dealer, offering a full line of tractors, mowers, and construction equipment, plus genuine parts and expert service and advice. Locally owned and here for you. Stop by Amigo Machinery at 2801 Southeast Main Street in Roswell, or call 575-624-2026. Proud sponsor of the Eddy and Chaves County 4-H and FFA livestock shows.
4-H. 4th place went to Colton Flat, Artesia 4-H. 5th place went to Addison Tarvin, Loving FFA. 6th was to Kinley Shockey, Artesia FFA. 7th went to Liam Tyron, Artesia 4-H. 8th went to Rayleigh Hendricks, Artesia 4-H. 9th went to Chandler Hernandez, Loving 4-H.
some maturity, they got some face weight, they got some mass to them. I think the lead two are by far the most opened up in their skeleton, and we start analyzing them down their top and through their center body. I like the lead go just as super clean in his skeleton. I think he's just a little smoother today in his junctions. When we stand off there, I think that transition out of his shoulder blade into his rack, he's got just a little more freshness there today. Big stand-up rack, even a ditch in the middle of it. His transition, I think, right into the top of his loin edge. Maybe it's just a little better maybe than our second place goat today. It just has just a little cleaner blend to his skeletal composition without being devoid of muscle. That thing is opened up, really touches good for a goat that size. He's got freshness, he's got mass, he's some body. A really good one to lean on for the class winner. And that's to take nothing away. Young lady brings us a really intriguing looking goat from the side. I love his head presentation. He just gets a little, it looks like he's trying to, his maturity's trying to catch you just a little bit. He doesn't come quite as stout, maybe as the class winner, and as we roll out into his skeleton, maybe one that doesn't stay quite as fresh in his loin edge, but maybe it's just a little more turn and a little more quickness to his hip, maybe than that lead goat. But that's picking on one that's still big-footed, high-headed, long enough body. He's got a lot of really nice things going in his direction. Young lady's done a fantastic job of getting him propped up, getting him showed to the nines, and has done a really nice job. As we roll on through the class, I think our third place goat really still clean, well blended, but when we walk right up behind that three-quarter view in this goat, I just don't think he's opened up enough in his pen to stay with the two goats in front of him. His loin edge maybe just doesn't stay up quite as high, or maybe doesn't tie quite as wide there. It's just a goat that I'd like to maybe mask as we move from that 13th rib back. I love his front heels. I like the way his head sits on top of his shoulder. That high up there, connection, a goat that really is balanced well. He just needs a little more mass as we move back to that 2/3 point of his body as we look at it from that three-quarter view. Long body female that stands here for, maybe just gets a little more up and down in her pieces, maybe not quite as good in the way she sets her hawk in the ground today, but still touches exceptionally well. Got a lot of freshness, got to love that with the body. I'd like to maybe clean her up, like I say, that hawk from the side view, her loin edge just a little bit, and then that one moves forward extremely quick. Some goats as we scatter through here. Young lady's got a goat that we just want to pull apart to make him a nickel rider today. And then I think we can stack just a little more on him. Young man's got a nice conventional goat. Just gets a little softer in his rib, maybe a little shorter in his body length, and to round him out. A goat that we just want to lift that chest floor up, spread that rib cage out just a little bit, and I think things can change and move forward. Let's give these youngsters a very nice round of applause.
Your Class 8 winner went to Swayze Fulmar, Artesia FFA, tag 22455. Second went to Madison Mantra, Artesia FFA. Third went to Swayze Fulmar, Artesia FFA. Fourth went to Chloe Flat, Artesia 4H. Fifth went to Peyton Lutman, WFFA. Sixth went to Finley Fuller, Brush Compass 4H. And seventh went to Annabelle Wells, Cedar Sharpshooters.
go. This young lady brings this one. Probably at times we're kind of reading maybe just a little shorter body from elbow to flank. Maybe like to stretch him out just a little bit. I think as we move in on top of him, kind of through the period of the day, he's the smoothest in his construction from his shoulder out to the center of his rib. Probably holds the precious loin edge of the class. And one that's actually touches well, handles exceptionally well, fed good, really handles nicely. My pick on him today is I just like to maybe pull that one apart, maybe making just a little scouter on those back wheels as he digs in, but still athletic, well fed, very well presented. Young lady's done a nice job. As we move to our second place weather, a really long body kind of weather. I thought at times this goat could maybe win the class. We back up out of him, we start to break him down just a little, maybe a little harsher. He maybe gets just a little rounder in his shoulder today in relevance to the amount of muscle and the shape that he has through his stifle. I read him to be just a little bolder in the outside of his shoulder in relevance to that class winner. Maybe like to transition some of that weight distribution back in his skeleton. But once again, he follows that class winner in terms of touch, freshness over his rib edge, freshness over his loin edge. At his weight range, he's done a really good job of getting that one fed and maintaining some athleticism. I just like to change some of his skeletal dynamics. The young lady that's going to be third, I like the way this goat drops up front. I love his chest plate stays up and he's super high. When we get in on top of him, he gets just a little softer today. He doesn't come with quite that shape. He just gets a little spongier, and then as we transition into his skeleton, maybe rolls off of his hips and his loin edge there just a little bit. But I love the way that guy holds his chest up, holds his neck up. He's doing a good job of getting that one presented. The young man that rounds out our top four, a goat that left that has enough length of body, maybe just gets a little bolder, the top of his shoulder, and the way it sets and ties against his skeleton. He maybe wants to get out ever so slightly, and then what happens is when you stand up on top of him, we got to make the back that much bigger to match it. And so just a few balance issues there. I love his length of body. A goat that still touches pretty good in terms of athleticism. Young man does a nice job. As we roll out through the class and we can study most of these just from the rear view, they just need to be a little wider in the dimension today. We want to open their skeleton up from left to right. And then when we reach in on top of them, we can display more shape and more side, more muscle, and then to have some turn to that twist to the center leg. But still, nice set of goats, and we just need to make these three all a nickel wider as we make our transition. And then you're okay. Let's give him a nice round of applause. Job well done. give this Division III a really nice round of applause. A really nice set of goats. And the divisions on the end of the bell curve kind of can get just a little bit different, in terms. We talked about it on the little ones. They're fighting no maturity or immaturity, and the big ones up here on this end start fighting maturity. And so you get kind of that both ends of the pendulum when you get to this stage of the night. I think as a set, they hold themselves well to the center of the rib. I think you can study them at the bottom of their chassis. They've got some width and some dimension. I think the one here that just gets me the hardest in terms of just that smooth construction, elbow up, just forehand, just right, center body really, really good, super smooth and all of the lines. I think that's the easy one for me. I think when we come to the debate of how we move to the next one, I think there's some things that we can, debate. I think the one that I think there's one option where there's a lot of look, really easy on the eyes, super, super smooth. Maybe when we walk in behind, maybe not quite as powerful in terms of overall build instead of rib. And so I think that balance between those two aspects, I'll walk through it here in just a few, but we'll pick our champion because I think he's kind of a blend of both. I think he comes with the ideal. I think he comes with the mask. Young lady right there. And I think that it comes down, for me personally, I think it comes to that lighter class. I think that goes really high. Get it? Super long body. As we step back here in relation to his competitors, a goat that maybe gets a little older in his shoulder in relevance to the amount of mass and muscle shape that he has from his 13th rib back to his skin and through his lower stifle. That young lady with the black-headed goat, that goat still has elevation in his shoulder. He's not quite as smooth in his transitions as that lighter class, but I think one that just comes with added muscle and value there. He's going to be our reserve today. Let's give these youngsters a very nice round of applause. Job well done.
Division 3 champion went to Swayze Volmar, and your Division 3 reserve champion went to Madison Mata.
Looking for a dealership that treats you like family and works hard to create the right deal for you? Come see us at Guy Chevrolet Company in Artesia. Family owned and operated, we take great pride in customer service and attention to every detail. From hard-working, quality pre-owned trucks and SUVs to the best selection of new GMC and Chevy models built exactly the way you want, we'll match you with the right truck and the right deal. Now is the time to buy. So hurry in to Guy Chevrolet Company on the corner of 1st and Main in Artesia or visit us at guychevy.com.
ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the grand drawing of the 2026 Eddy County Fair. I would like to introduce our judge for tonight, Mike Gibbs from Del Rio, Texas. When he's not chasing mountain lions with his dogs, he's busy picking the next book, as he is the president of the local book club. On Wednesdays, you will find him leading the ladies' Bible study at church. When he goes on vacation, he enjoys long walks on the beach. Help us in welcoming Mr. Mike Gibbs.
individuals a really, really nice round of applause. super competitive set of leather goats here as you kind of draw them all back and you kind of whittle them down. I hope that there's some common denominators for y'all. For me, personally, I think they check a lot of the same boxes. As we start at the ground level, we study the front wheels, we study their back wheels. I think these lead ones here for sure really have a similar pattern at the ground chest floor, where it lands under their elbow, and that width and dimension under the bottom of their chassis. But when you get down over the top of them, they've got some squareness there behind their shoulder blade, that transition out of their going edge into their hip. Very, very nice. I think a really nice set. And that's to take nothing away. I think that set right there that's in second is really, really high caliber. Super, super nice. Maybe one or two little clips of the pencil. We changed them here and there ever so slightly. But I thought a really, really deep, exceptional, exciting set of goats here at the Eddy County Fair. Let's give these kids one more round of applause for John Wilson. Really, really fun, enjoyable, sort of. I think there's several here that you can gravitate to and probably argue your way out of any corner that you want to. I think there's a couple here that just fit me in terms of both aesthetics, and then when we get in on top of them, they've got some peg dirt there, they've got some rack shape coming out of the shoulder, the loin edges handle good, they're not devoid of muscle, and yet still fresh and handle great. Let's give these youngsters right out of that middle division a real nice round of applause. We're going to follow the pattern right there. Let's give them a really nice round. Phenomenal set for you guys. Thank you, dear.
Jalen Joy out of Division 2 and your reserve grand champion. Your reserve grand champion also went to Jalen Joy out of Division 2. Please don't forget, we need your novice showers back in the ring. Your novice showers. So if you have a red tag, we need you and your goat back in the ring. It does not have to be fit, we just need you and a goat.
Sizzling Summer Savings event is on now at Roswell Nissan. Now through the end of the month, get massive savings across the lot on an amazing selection of new and pre-owned vehicles. And that's not all. Get 0% for up to 60 months on select 2026 Nissan Rogue, Frontier, Murano, and Pathfinder. Make this summer road trip season a little hotter with the help of the hottest lot in southeastern New Mexico. But these sizzling savings won't last. Get to the Sizzling Summer Savings event on now at Roswell Nissan. 2111 West 2nd. a hands-on career with strong job demand and long-term growth? The HVAC R Technology program at ENMU Roswell is the perfect place to start. Learn installation, maintenance, repair, and system diagnostics, all from a team nationally accredited through HVAC excellence. From electrical controls to blueprint interpretations, this program equips you with real-world skills employers are looking for. Call 575-624-7337 or log on to roswell.enmu.edu to learn more. ENMU Roswell. Success starts here. The Office Management and Technologies program at ENMU Roswell prepares you with the skills you need to succeed in today's workplace. From creating professional documents to mastering communication and administrative skills, you'll be equipped to keep any office running smoothly. You'll build clear professional communication skills, learn effective administration techniques, and gain hands-on experience with today's technology. Whether you're starting your career or leveling up your skills, this program is your path to success. Call ENMU Roswell today at 575-624-7337 or log on to roswell.enmu.edu.
Last call for our novice showers. Novice showers for goats. Okay.
Before you head back to class, head for Roswell Honda for the Back to School Bash. Saturday, July 18th from 10 to 1 at Roswell Honda. With free hot dogs and Pepsi products, snow cones, face painting, and great local booths and sponsors, including Dunes Brews, Tacos Pita, Sweetly Loved, Letty's Creations, and more. And register now for your chance to win a back to school bundle, either a laptop, desk, and chair, or a back to school basket loaded with supplies. And ask how to sign up for free school supplies. The Back to School Bash, Saturday, July 18th from 10 to 1 at Roswell Honda, 2177 West.